Okay, hello everyone. Assalamu alaikum to all, and welcome back with another amazing episode of Fahad's News Talk Show. I'm your host Fahad JobsWala, and I'm student and interview captain at Rehan School Online Academy. So today I'm privileged to have someone who is a powerhouse in her field, and I would mention this, and that I approached her in the month of September, or maybe earlier than that month, in 2024, and I'm finally having her on my show, on my podcast, and that's why many people you know, um, used to say persistent to me, and I'm just very excited to have her finally on my show. As you all know, and for those who are tuning it for the first time, my podcast format is to talk on life journeys, to uncover, exploring, and to uncover amazing personal and professional life journeys, the people who are making an impact in the world, and to motivate other listeners, other people as well, to take a stand and to make this world a better place. Jennifer, today I am honored to welcome Jennifer Asidao Curbin, founder and CEO of Reach Your Highest Potential. As a mindset coach specializing in energetics and manifestation, she has helped countless individuals overcome self doubt and unlock their full potential. She also leads as an allied, a community focused on growth, confidence, and prosperity. So, Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
How have you been?
I've been good. Very good. How about you?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I've been also very great, and this is probably 19th day of Ramadan and 19th
Wow.
day of our fasting, and I would pray that may God um, accept our fasting and the good deeds which we are doing in this month. So, and I would have to mention this, that Jennifer is a big fan of Pakistani cuisine, and before this podcast we were discussing about that she like goat meat, goat dish, especially in Pakistan. When she visited there
Mhm.
in Pakistan, she tasted that dish, and that is really amazing. So Jennifer, what is your story? Could you please tell us about that?
Well, I guess I would start off. I'm second generation Filipino American. So I was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, which is like the Midwest of the United States. And my parents are both professionals, and were also very politically active. They were very much about human rights in the Philippines, and I grew up in that environment. And I also, come from a whole family of nurses. I saw one of your interviews who happened to be a Filipina as well, like me. I think she was like Filipino American. I could totally relate to the biggest, you could say, the paradigm or the belief in our community, for security and for success is to be in the medical field. So I found myself in the medical field. I passed the boards immediately. I've always done well academically, and but as a nurse, I felt like something was very off for me. I felt like, um, the best way I can describe it is I felt like I was a square peg trying to fit in a round hole. I don't know if anyone can relate to that. Like, you're doing things because you feel like you have to, but it's not necessarily what you really truly want. It's not really aligned with your soul, with your spirit. And that creates a lot of stress in someone. But in other people's eyes, that's success. I'm married to a professional as well, and you have the house and whatever, the car, the middle class lifestyle, but something was very much missing in my life. And so I thought that the way to, which is true, to express who I truly am is to go into business. And so when I did, I would attract like very successful business mentors to me. And there was one pivotal time, and I did deep into study in personal development and understanding business. And then one time, my husband said to me, he goes, you're investing all of this time and energy to learn these things, but why aren't you implementing what you know fully? And so, like in my mind, Fahad, it was like it didn't register because I know what it's like to work full time, to go to school full time. I'm an extremely hard worker, but there was something deep inside of me that was preventing me from being all out in this expression of being a business owner. And because I really didn't have a model in my family. I didn't have a model. Everyone was a professional. No one was really in business. So when my husband brought that, and my husband comes from a business family, though, for him, his norm is different from mine, right? And both his parents are successful. They retired early in life. So when he brought this to my attention, I thought, I opened up my mouth and I thought that I had a comeback. I thought I had an answer. And when I opened up my mouth, nothing came out. So it was a big shock, big shock. And there was a big blind spot that was being mirror reflected back to me. And at that moment, I realized that there was something up in myself that I didn't understand yet. Okay. So all I know is I have to keep on working on myself. And then one day I'm in a live entrepreneurial summit, and I see a man named Bob Proctor who was teaching live, and something came over me. Like literally, I felt like my body was all energized. I felt like I was being pushed towards my computer. And I knew immediately because he talked about the mind, and he talked about how all the results that we have is a mirror reflection of what we truly believe. But the caveat is it's not what we consciously believe, it's what we deeply believe on a subconscious level. And so that was the missing link for me. I had to understand what the subconscious mind was and why it was driving 98% of my behavior, right? So a lot of people, they know what they want. They may know what to do to get what they want. They plan to do it, but then they don't execute. And it's because of the deeper beliefs in the subconscious mind. So I became a consultant on that level of mindset work. And then as I was working with people, I was teaching them like how to reprogram, because eventually I became one of Bob's inner circle consultants. So I became one of the top 5% in his consulting arm. And as I was helping other people do it, there are three main ways to, reprogram subconsciously. You repetitious study, there's a deep emotional impact, right? And then there's also guidance through coaching and mentorship and all of that, right? But I noticed that there was still a blockage in my clients, and my clients were really opening up to like very, very deep things, like traumas in relation to violence, to abuse. And to tell you honestly, Fahad, I was not ready for it. I was shocked. I was like, oh my God. Like it kind of reminded me when I entered nursing. You can learn nursing in school, but then you actually do nursing. It's completely two different things, right? Like you can learn about when their heart stops, and then you have to chest compressions and give rescue breathing. But then when you're really in a code, that's a completely different story. So you can learn about all these things, but then when you're actually helping people, it's a completely different experience. So I was really observing like, wow, like very deep issues that people were facing, and I felt really um, not equipped yet to really fully help them, and it kind of affected my self-image as a coach and as a trainer. And so even though I'd reached a certain level of success, I noticed that I still had internal blockages happening. And another pivotal point that happened to me, this may seem a little bit strange to some of your audience members, or maybe they can relate, but I could feel that there was something off internally, and I was losing motivation in building my business. And then I continued like doing things like this, like network online to meet people, learn what they do. And I came across this man who's based in Los Angeles, California, who did meditations, and he offered to give me a complimentary guided meditation. And I love to meditate, by the way, right? I've always been like a deeply spiritual person ever since I was a kid. And so when he guided me in this meditation, this is what I saw, Fahad. I saw a young girl who was very angry, and her hair was chopped off really short because when I was a child, I had family members that used to bully me and they mistreated me a lot. But at that time I was very young, like I was 5. Later on I would fight back for myself, but I just internalized all of this kind of mistreatment. And yeah, so I saw her, and that part of me was being made known to me more consciously through that meditation. And as uncomfortable as it was to see that, it led me to deep healing work for myself, and how to help other people do that too. So that's a big part. It's been a lot of unfolding in my journey, and as I unfold, I help other people unfold and heal, and yeah, and do all that amazing mindset work. Mindset work is beyond not just how you think, but it's also opening up your heart space and also healing the heart space. And then it's also about releasing stuck energy in the physical body. So that's really comprehensively what I do now. Yeah.
Amazing. I would say your story, your life journey is really interesting and a bit sad as well. And like, according to what I got and what I learned about you is that you were already facing these kind of challenges in your childhood, like um regretting on human rights and abuses and
Mhm.
all that. So you started your company after that, and after
Mhm.
being after experiencing all these things, then you took this initiative to start your organization that will, you know, lead other peoples to protect from these kind of things in their
Mhm.
lives. Is this correct?
Yes, and it's funny that you mirror reflect that back to me, because even in the social justice days, I used to lead organizations, and my personal philosophy was you do social justice work in order to heal. It's not necessarily because you want to hurt someone else or you want to oppose someone else. It's really about healing societal issues. And at that time, that the person who I was saw solving societal issues as outside. Like we have to fix all these things outside, but a big part of solving any issue that we have is we have to go inside. There's that saying by, I think it's Mahatma Gandhi. He says, become the change that you want to see. And when we want to become the change that we want to see outside of ourselves, it means a big part of that is going to be healing. Yeah.
Exactly, Jennifer. And I would mention this, that you've mentioned earlier when you were telling about your story, that maybe some of your audience would relate to this. the story which you have, and I would say um, 70% of pupils or 60% of pupils would relate to your story, because we have almost the journey as you have,
Mm.
like you, because we are not working on those things. We don't have that career with, we don't have that job which we want in our life. We are
Mhm.
just working um, like a like a donkey,
Yeah.
and we even don't, we are not, that is all about the passion, that is all about the uh, that whether you're interested in or not, but we are still working, so that is the same with you, that you found out about yourself after a bit while.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it came to a point where it's funny because when I was, I believe this is why this happens to us in life, where we can feel like we're backed up against the wall. And I teach this to my clients that if it's almost like God in the universe is like a checkmate. If you anyone plays chess, right, and you feel like, oh, there's nowhere for me to go, right? Like there's a checkmate from the universe, and what that really is, it's a signal that you have to go within more instead of trying to figure out all these maneuvers outside. And then when we move more inward and what we do like more internal work, um, that's part of it. But then I realized my own journey too. We learn to let go. We also learn to surrender to a higher power more. So like it kind of tames our ego and it helps our soul evolve. That's been a big part of my journey too. So yeah,
Amazing, Jennifer.
yeah,
It is absolutely great, and you give a give a great example of chess. And I used to play chess as well,
really,
but um,
yeah,
you know, I didn't pass third level. I just passed two levels, and after that,
mm,
I'm still trying to pass that level, but you know, um,
yeah,
I can't maybe. So that is great, and um, somehow we get the signals in our life, by our God,
yes,
because we all believe, whatever we our religion is, we all believe on the same on a thing which is common in every religion, that there is someone who is doing this all stuff, who is controlling this world, this universe, all that. There is someone. So we always get signals from our God, and yeah, that is absolutely amazing. So you for doing, firstly you started your organization to work on mindsets, then later
yes.
on you added about trauma and other stuffs. So could you tell us more about your organization, how it's shaped, and how much time has passed, you know
Mhm.
working on
Yeah.
this organization?
Well, how can I start with? So, a big part of how my work has shaped, the best way I can describe it is I think maybe the audience may relate to this. We tend to think, well, once I attain this, then I can feel a certain way, right? Like once the income increases or once something external happens, then I can feel a certain way. And in other words, we have an attachment to success. The interesting thing is what I've come to realize in my journey to manifesting what I want, it required me to become a lot more spiritually aware. Like, for example, in business, it's very important to generate revenue. It's the lifeblood of your business. And that means you have to engage in sales, right? And in order to engage in sales, you have to be willing to have uncomfortable conversations when you're enrolling clients. Now, if the person is not aware of their own triggers, they may not be very effective in their sales calls. So, the in a nutshell, what I've come to realize is when I was chasing success, what I was really seeking was what I thought success would give me. But along the way, I come to realize that what I truly wanted, what my soul really wanted, was healing. And I got it. I got it. Like I got the healing. So, like for example, in my evolution, I realized like I was on a mentoring call, and the mentor at the time, I said, my sales calls are the way that they are. And then he said, well, how do you feel during these calls? And then I expressed how I felt. And then I realized that the trigger of the sales call was related to wounds that I felt when I was being mistreated before. So, and once I was able to, I call it conscious alchemy, once I was able to revisit those memories and to heal them, because no one else can do it for me, only my awareness can do it. Yeah. Then I completely changed the way I showed up. Like anything that triggered me before didn't trigger me anymore. So I feel like that's the greatest value that I can give to a client. It's not even like guaranteeing so-called success, because success is very different for every person. That looks different for every person. But what I can guarantee is that level of awareness of like where your energy is it aligned with the desired reality you want, or is it not? And if it isn't, you don't judge yourself. You just kind of, you're like a powerful observer. It's like, okay, well, what is this really, really about? Right. And usually energetically, this is where the energetics come in, by the way, and manifestation. The only reason why something is not manifesting as fast as we would like it to, because everything does take time, but it doesn't have to take a long, long period of time. The only reason why is because something energetically is anchoring that person in their current reality. And usually it's wounds, their unconscious wounds. And traumas don't have to be major, like what I explained earlier, like with clients that I've served who have like had violence and abuse and all that. Traumas could be anything that was just overwhelming at the time to experience in life. And so as a survival mechanism, our bodies will store that energy, right? And for another time, like later on to deal with, because then you won't be able to function in life. But then later on, I realized that, and I teach this, is that whenever we up level, when we're expanding your energy, especially in leadership, you have to be able to hold more energy for yourself and other people in order to lead. So what's going to happen? All of that dormant stuff is going to surface to the top, and then you're going to have to deal with it. And it serves you. It serves you. So yeah, it's a good journey.
Exactly, Jennifer. And I'm really healing within me while listening to your journey, because you're explaining very deeply about each and everything which I'm asking to you.
Mm.
And like that is absolutely amazing. And can you tell us how many people are there in USA who are working on the same thing where you are working on,
That's a good
mindsets and
question.
trauma?
Energetics is not very commonly talked about, I would say. I think, and trauma informed coaching is, I was seeing a lot of content online that, so a lot of coaches, I could relate to this, were kind of like leaving coaching because they didn't feel like they were equipped to help people with trauma. And I could totally relate to that. I think it's gaining ground, right? I think it's gaining. And actually, when you look at trauma responses, there are four major ones, right? So one of them is getting angry, like the fight energy. That's a trauma response. The second one is when you want to just run away from a situation, which, by the way, guess what that is? That's like procrastinating. That's procrastination, right? So if you just want to stay away, not, and I find with my clients that if they don't have enough safety in the body, this is a big part of being able to hold space for traumas to as to cultivate safety in the body. These issues that they face over and over again, it could be like financial, it could be marital, it could be whatever issues it may be. The issues are not effectively dealt with because they don't have enough safety in their body to actually see the situation for what it is. So when trauma gets activated, it's almost like a person feels like they're drowning in the problem and they can't cope with it. So the safety in the body is very key. I have yet to really, it's a very small number of, I would say, coaches that approach even problem solving in that way. Because again, trauma response is all about survival. So if we're in survival mode, then the more ancient parts of our brains kicks in and the creative part of our brains shuts down. You have to have creativity, that part of your brain to kick in order to really problem solve. And guess what? When you're a leader and CEO, you got to be a great problem solver. That's basically all you're doing is you're squashing fires everywhere you go. You're figuring out, what works, what doesn't work. Welcome to like building a business, right? So it's a great question. How many? I'm not too sure. I do think it's becoming more popular though.
I have interviewed, I would say, 10 to 15 coaches who are working on trauma,
Mm,
and I still do contact with them. One of those coaches tell me about a trick. They are not exactly where you're working on, because you all have different strategies of
yeah.
your working, of running your organizations. You have different kind of ways of running it, of facing your clients, of dealing your clients. And one of that coach told me about this. Whenever you feel unconscious in any moment, you just you should try this. You know, you should um, do like this as I'm doing,
Hmm.
and you
Yep.
feel very conscious to the present moment. You feel
Mm,
alive.
yes.
So, like, because of this trick, I remember that coach and that guest, and whenever I feel that and on that uncertain way, I just start doing this, and that really helped me. So, Jennifer,
Mhm.
what is
Yep.
the difference between subconscious mind and unconscious mind?
So the unconscious mind is it's very much related to somatics. It's very much related to the body itself. Subconscious and unconscious is very interrelated though. I find the unconscious to be deeper. So like for example, someone could be it's interesting like someone could consciously make a decision about what they want to create and then they can try to reprogram it subconsciously, right? But if there are a lot of unconscious programs in the background, sometimes that new subconscious idea that they want to program doesn't really take root. And the best way that I can describe it is some people's minds, if you look at the garden of the mind, you heard that analogy before. There's a garden, right? And if you plant certain seeds of thought in the garden, whether they're positive thoughts or poisonous thoughts or negative thoughts, they're going to grow just as fast. They're going to grow, right? So, but sometimes a person's mind, the analogy that comes to me is, you know how you can have soil that's very like volcanic and very lush, almost like soil in countries like Hawaii or the Philippines, and it just grows. I'm sure like there's soil like that in Pakistan as well. And then you have soil that's very arid, it's very dry, it's you can try to plant something in it, but its conditions are not really conducive to growing a seed, right? So some people's minds, they need to be prepared more unconsciously, which means clearing out stuck energy on the body level in order to prepare to be able to reprogram on the subconscious level. So subconscious is like when you were a kid and you're like, 5 years or younger, and you're hearing all of these ideas. And as a child, you're purely subconscious because the brain waves are slower. The brain waves are like, I believe it's alpha and theta. And so when you're hearing all these thoughts, we don't even realize this, but those ideas are already determining the belief system of the baby, of the child, who later on grows into an adult, right? But when we look at unconscious,
At
we're talking about
amazing.
DNA. I'm sorry?
No, no, really sorry. I thought you're finished. Maybe there's a your voice. I'm getting your voice a bit slower.
Hmm.
So I thought you're finished. You can continue.
Oh, okay, okay. The unconscious is more of, it could be generational programming. It's literally like beliefs on the DNA level. And the unconscious is, in my experience with my clients, like when we start talking to the body, literally communicating with the body, really paying attention to what the body is saying, the real deeper beliefs start surfacing. And these are beliefs that were probably established when they were like 3 years old, like really, really young. Deep stuff. Very
Amazing.
deep.
It is really very deep. And um, when you're when you're 5 or 4,
Yeah.
and even 6, so you're getting those seeds which you
Yep.
give an example that you're getting those seeds, and later on those seeds become a tree when become when you're 10, 11, or 12. So is that correct? And I want to ask, unconscious, when you are unconscious, an unconscious mindset, so you're just working and you're just doing things, you don't know what you are doing and why you are
Right.
doing, like you. And so is that correct? And subconscious, you have
Yep.
old memories in your mind,
Yep.
about your childhood.
And think about this, that for every conscious memory that you can recall, you have about 1 million unconscious memories going on in your mind. 1 million. So, what's really driving your destiny? What's really driving you? You see? So, the best that the soul can do is to become more aware. That's why establishing a goal is very important, because we want to know, we almost want to know, what is my energetic signature that I'm moving towards. What is that? There's a certain energy with, healthy relationships. There's a certain energy to wealth. There's a certain energy to, who I am in this capacity. You can feel that. And then as you move towards it,
Exactly.
you'll find where the discrepancy is. See, that's the most important thing. You'll find the discrepancy. That's a big part of the journey, is you find where that gap is, and you're energetically aligning it as you go along the way.
Amazing. And I would say this is that long topic where we can talk hours and hours,
Yeah.
and this topic would never end. This topic doesn't have any end. We can
Yeah.
It is kind of these are all things I would say are mysterious things which we even in the present moment, scientists are working on since eras and decades, and whatever you say, but they're still in research of that. They're still searching about these things,
Right.
and this report represents that this is um this report is for now. Maybe in the 3005 we will have something new in the
Yeah.
shape of subconscious and unconscious.
Yeah.
So that is really amazing, and I would say the work the work which we are doing, and as I mentioned, and as you've mentioned as well, that there are very few pupils who are working on this, who are working on trauma healing, who are working on mindset, and
Yeah.
this is the thing where we want more pupils to work on. I'm not talking about USA or any specific country. We want
Hmm.
pupils in all over the world, and every country, because
Hmm.
as we are evolving, as we are moving further, in our life, as our era is changing
Mm.
and new things are adding, and so this is affecting human brain, which
Yep.
we don't realize about but this is affecting humans brain. We
Yep.
have AI. We really appreciate that, and we are working on, we take help from AI, but we don't know that this is affecting our brain when
Hmm.
we always get help from AI. So our as our brain is going on holidays. So when we don't use our brain, this affects very badly um, on your brain. And there are many other things, which are harming and affecting badly your brain. So thank you so much, Jennifer Asido Kirbin, for giving me your most precious and valuable time. And this there's always been pleasure for me to speak with um what is that, like, what was that caste which you mentioned?
Which one?
Like, you are Singaporean. What was that?
Filipino American. Yeah.
Filipino,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
It has
Yes.
always been pleasure to speak with Filipino, to speak with Philippines, and I just wanted to mention this, that I interviewed Ernalita, and
Mm.
she is the kindest and greatest lady, I would say, I've ever interviewed. She connected almost 20 pupils with me, which I
Wow.
interviewed them, and they helped me a lot in this thing. So really, I'm still very grateful towards Arnalita, and I interviewed last time um, uh, Ella Jamasmos and her
Mm.
daughter Asia.
Mm.
They're also Philippines. So that it has always been amazing to speak with Americans, Philippines, Koreans, and Chinese. We are we are human. That doesn't matter which which is our caste and which is our color and all that. So thank you so much,
Right.
Jennifer.
Yeah.
It was a truly pleasure for me.
Fahad, can I just mention one other thing before we end? Because I think it's
Yeah,
important to
sure.
say that when we actually go through our own healing journey, it affects everything around us. Everything, because all of our minds are actually connected. That's a big part also of the unconscious, is that there's only one mind, and all of us are connected unconsciously. So when we heal ourselves, we actually are healing our families. We're healing our spouses as well. We're healing, but it's our own deeper inner work. It's not us trying to fix other people. It's just taking full responsibility and radical responsibility for our own journey. And we see it making
Exactly.
waves outside, and even our communities, and even in our our nations. So I feel very passionate about what I do, because it is related to social change and social justice, but it just in a different way.
Exactly. I'm totally agreed with you, and The work where you're working on it is very appreciable. You face different kind of clients and you heal their traumas. This
Mm.
deserve very um lot of appreciation. So thank you so much, viewers and audience,
Thank
for
you,
watching
Fahad.
this interview. I hope you like it. Inshallah, meet you soon with another amazing podcast with another amazing guest. Till then, stay peace and take care of yourself. Goodbye.